Hi and welcome to Spooky Hours. My name's David Saunders and today we're talking to Kevin Spindloe from Paranormal Research York. How are you, Kevin?
I'm good, David. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you coping with the lockdown?
Quite well. The weather's brilliant, isn't it? And it's nice and sunny. And it's given us plenty of time to pull ourselves together and get ready for the paranormal spring, which will be coming in autumn probably. But never mind.
It will come at some stage, I imagine. Now, Paranormal Research York's not a particularly long organisation. I think you've been running for about 18 months. But can you tell us how you got into the paranormal in the first place? What's your origin story?
Into this side of the field is my daughter actually bought me a ticket for a paranormal event, and when I went along, I was sort of fascinated by the concept of it, and sort of went from there really, and joined a team in Teesside, and over a period of time, then met Claire, who's the co-founder of Paranormal Research York. Decided ourselves we wanted to go in a different direction. We both have a passion for experimenting with different activities, and unfortunately that needs money. But we were quite experienced with other things, like I'm a project. I was a project manager, so able to pull these things together and that type of thing. Claire's a really good people person, and we were able to organise events really well, and it's gone from there really. So it's we are essentially a business. The business funds the research that we do. We host a couple of events a month normally, and then we do a lot of in the background research where we like to do our own thing. But we have a team of 7.
Yep.
And they come and join us at various times. They'll either come to the meetings, the events, or they will come, on days out with us or nights out and see what we can find. Or if we've got something new to play with, they'll come down and join us for that.
What was it when you said your daughter got you the ticket for the paranormal event? Where was that at?
It was at a local place in Hartlepool, a very small place. But I just remember it was the first time I'd been sort of around the equipment. I'm one of the team mediums, and I'd been around the spirit side of it a lot. Yeah. So to see the other side of it, it was quite fascinating. The sort of the CCTV cameras, the EVPs, the trigger objects that they were using, and that sort of caught my attention, I guess.
So you're an established medium. That's how you sort of come into this.
I was more of a sort of spirit medium, I guess, which I spent 9 years getting trained for, doing various things and I started out doing helping people in their homes and clearing spirits away from that. So that's essentially my background as to how I got into this, I guess.
And how do you think they complement each other, the two skills? Obviously, you've got the more technical based tools and your own psychic tools.
I mean, for me, it would be sensors every time. I mean, that's as much as I love the equipment. We've had some really good results with it, and we get more evidence from that type of thing. So because we have recordings or video clips of things that we do, where if you tell somebody you're picking up something, it's more of a story, and it's unless you're experiencing that, it's very difficult to convey that via video or other means, because you can feel a spirit next to you, and if it's not on the same frequency as the meter or the machine that you're trying to connect with, it's not going to work anyway. So for me, it's always about using my senses. And at events, when we host events, we tend to use a mix of both. So we'll have the equipment where people can come along and use them. They'll get a quick sort of update of what the equipment is, how to use it, what it picks up. But then we also do the traditional things that people like as well. And I think that's one of the things that we look for in our events is we try to, if people go away scratching their heads and not being able to explain something, then that's a good night for us, really.
So can you tell us about some of the places you've investigated since you've started Paranormal Research York?
I mean, we started. We only research in York. That's our big thing for us, because National Geographic magazine records York as being the most haunted city in Europe.
Yeah.
So for us to go anywhere else would be a little bit odd, I think. So
Yeah.
and there's so much to do around here. The city has been here since Roman times, and then through the Vikings era, and then into the Saxons and so on, so forth. And the history is absolutely incredible. And we've been quite lucky to have some great investigations, particularly at the Merchant Adventures Hall, which is this huge double story hall. It's been in the centre of York since 1350s.
Yeah.
And it's only ever been used as a guild hall, and apart from it has an undercroft which is has been used for like hospital type of things. If you're a guild member and you fall on hard times, you're able to go there for some help. I mean, obviously those days are gone, but that space is still there. And we have some incredible recordings from there. We use our mix of traditional and equipment. We've had things on our SLS cameras that we've had intelligent responses to requests that we've made. And then we also have the traditional things we use. We like to use a planchette, and that is not a Ouija board, but it's the thing that you put your hands on.
Yep.
And it's a fairly big thing. So me being the team medium, I take charge of that, warm it up, make sure it's working. Then I take a step back in the group, get on with the guests who are there, actually use it safely. So. And we've also had we've done places at the Fairfield Manor is a hotel just on the outskirts of York, and that used to be an old asylum, and it was a mansion before that, then an asylum, then a stud farm, then an asylum. Sorry, Claire will kill me if I don't say that. She does the research, so I have to make sure I get it right. And we've had some fantastic results with that as well. It's the hotel is in two parts. It's the old mansion side and then the modern side. And the old side is just full of activity. And we've had some absolutely incredible things with that. And then we've done other places like just before the lockdown, we did 2 nights at the Grand Opera House in York, and that was Friday the 13th, and we thought we'd be a bit quirky and have 13 guests as well. So that was a really good night. We had. We were all in the auditorium, nobody else in the building apart from a manager who sat in his office, and everybody heard footsteps clomping across the stage, which is, a real sort of good vibe to go away with, I think, particularly on the Friday the 13th. That was quite special.
Yeah. How do you what do you like the bigger events when you have the people there, guests involved, or would you prefer more of an intimate type of investigation?
Our events are generally intimate anyway. We don't have big crowds of people. We generally go for groups of around 15 to maximum, and we have our team members, and we have a team of 7 because not everybody can always get there. So we'll do a combination. We usually have a team of like 4 or 5, which is a good ratio for those to helping out at events. And I like the public events, I must admit, because it gives us a chance to share our passion, and because we do places regularly in York, we tend to know what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And although we would never fake anything, we know what activities work best, and we know what things don't really work in those places. But when you get new people coming in from different guests, always brings new energies, and that's really important. That's really good. And so I think we have as part of the team, as part of the business, we have a couple of projects. Fairfield Manor being one, the Merchant Adventures being another. We've also done things like the Lord Mayor's House, the Mansion House in York, and it's got some really grand buildings, and we're able to, because we've been professional in what we're doing as well. that word has got round, and that opens up a few more doors, which is really good.
That's good. Have you got places that you'd like to go to you've not been able to get into yet within York?
Yeah, I think everybody would like to get into York Minster, I think, but I think that's going to be a bit of a no-no. But you know what, we never give up hope, and there are places out there that we are talking with, and we're hoping to get in the next. We were hoping to get in this year, but at least we have people approaching us now.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good. I mean, you know, it's not always about us knocking on doors. People will actually come to us and say, "Do you want to host an event here?" We would like to do a few pubs, but the problem with pubs is they tend to be busy.
Yeah.
And even on a night time, once you get to midnight, when the staff are cleaning up and clearing away. But saying that, there's still some good ones in York, and we would always be open to some suggestions.
You've got the picture on your logo. I think is it Dick Turpin?
It's a highwayman.
It's just a highwayman, is it? Okay.
Yeah. When we were looking at starting the group, we were thinking about what a logo would sort of link with York, and I think everybody looks at the Minster and thinks that's quite iconic. But we wanted something with a bit of mystery around it, and Dick Turpin has that mystery, and because one of the most famous highwaymen in the York area was Swift Nick, and a lot of his legend and a lot of his mystery gets mixed up and interwoven with Dick Turpin, but because Dick Turpin was a southerner and caught up here, and he wasn't caught for being a highwayman, he was caught for shooting somebody's chicken because he had a bad day hunting or something.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not Dick Turpin, it's Swift Nick. Is that who you're saying? It's on your.
Well, it's a highwayman.
It's a highwayman anyway. So I've been to York and I've loved it. I haven't been there for many years, but once this is all over and we've got the lockdown finished and people start coming back to York, besides going on one of your investigations, well, what are some of the places that you would suggest they go to for a creepy or a spooky time? I know the Shambles is supposed to be haunted. What other places should people go to?
I think, to be honest, anywhere within the inner walls of the city is haunted. If you're a paranormal investigator and you want to come to York for a trip or an overnight stay, and there's nothing going on event-wise, take your tape recorder and go into any of the buildings. Take your video recorder, go in. Most of them are accepting of things like that. They're quite open to the suggestion that York is a paranormal draw for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So the Merchant Adventures, it's fairly quiet in there during the day, and you can walk around and you can have a tour on your own. You just buy a recorder, and it sort of tells you to stop off at certain points, give you a bit of history. But it's so quiet because even in the heart of the city, it is absolutely so quiet that you can still have an EVP session during the day. I would recommend that highly, and the cafe is absolutely superb.
Oh, that's good. So you don't have to wait till the middle of the night to do your investigations. You can start during the middle of the day. That's just great. So what have you got coming up now? We're assuming that lockdown will continue on, but at one day it'll stop. What have you got coming up? Maybe later in the year. What's your plans?
We are working with the Mansion House, and we're looking to do an event for teenagers, which will be interesting because we get a lot of inquiries. Being a local team, is there anything for the young ones to do? And we've had to think about it as a team, and we've explored the possibility, and we've come up with a sort of program that we think would work for teenagers, sort of 14 to 18, maybe. That we haven't finalised that age range yet. We're doing that about Halloween time, like a sort of introduction to it. We're also doing our own paranormal workshops, because we get a lot of people who come to our events who see the equipment on the television, the SLS cameras, and they hear about things like EVPs and the spirit boxes, but don't actually know how to use them. So we thought that we will have a session on a Saturday afternoon, a 3 or 4 hour session with a number of workshops in there, do something for a meal on the night time, then do an investigation after that, so they can incorporate the skills that they've learned. So we've got that coming up as well. we've just joined the Society for Psychical Research as well. So we're looking to troll through their libraries a little bit to see if we can pick up any more traditional activities that we can explore with.
Okay, that'd be cool.
And we've been talking as a team during the lockdown about what we can do differently and what activities we think might work. And we've got a couple of activities that are pendulum based, but without anybody holding them, that we think we're going to look at trying. So we've got that as well. So we've got lots of things coming up. We never stand still. We're always moving forward, and it's a good team to be. It's a really sort of, I think York drives that passion that we all have, and I think it's just a superb place to be, and we do have a really, really strong team.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be an exciting future for you. You've got lots of things going on, and you've certainly got a wealth of paranormal activity going on in York for you to work through.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't explored half the city yet. I mean, we've done. We live close enough to the city that during lockdown we could actually go and do our exercise around the centre of York, and we've been amazed and astounded at how quiet the centre has been. And the first time we went round York just for our exercise, when we were allowed to go out, we were walking down the street, and Claire said, "Well, what's that over there?" And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." And she said, "Oh, there's a police tent in the middle of the road." I said, "I don't know, no, there isn't." And she said, "Well, there is." Then she looked again. She said, "No, it's gone." So I said, "Right, okay, we'll go over and explore it." And as we went past, she was able to pick up. She said there was a young man shouting hello, and I said, "Okay." And I didn't really take much notice of it because it was Claire who was picking it up, and I wasn't really in the mindset to do any sort of mediumship work. We were just out having an exercise. And as we went past, Claire said she felt a pull of sadness. So I said, "Well, okay, then we'll go back." So we went back to the spot that we found, and there was this young man in spirit who was trying to call out to us, and basically he wanted to go back to meet his family. So we were able to sort of use my skills, able to sort of get him ready to pass over. And just as he was about to pass over, this darker energy tried to jump in and stop him getting crossed over, which was really strange. I wasn't expecting it. It sort of took me aback a little bit. But we were able to do that. We were able to get him crossed over. But this dark energy started following us a little bit back to the car park. And as it was following us, there was more of these dark energies popping up. And we got back to the car and we were okay. But I was just saying to Claire that I hadn't realised that when we explore the paranormal in York, we're walking around these places day after day, and we never realise how dark this place actually is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sinister energies there. I mean, in the city centre, there's lots of areas where there's been gallows and the deaths. The Clifford's Tower was where the Jews were trapped. And a lot of them committed suicide and set themselves on fire, rather than be killed at the castle gate. So it's although it's really spooky and that really appeals to us, we're also mindful it's very dark as well.
It is. Okay. Well, on that note, on that very, very creepy note that you've just left us on, you can't go for your walk without your exercise without coming face to face with spirit. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for that, Kevin. Really do appreciate talking to us today, and look forward to maybe getting up there. Fabulous place, and we'll catch up with you when we get there.
Well, if you are ever up here, David, just give us a shout and we'll gladly give you the tour.
Good-o. Okay, thanks for that, Kevin. You take care.
And you. Bye-bye now.